Hello and welcome to Live Talks with Anurag Paul. I'm your host Anurag Paul. In this latest episode of our podcast, today we are going to talk about a topic that affects many of us, and that is overthinking. In this episode, we'll explore the nature of overthinking, why it happens, and the effects it can have on our lives. We will discuss the 5 most effective ways to overcome the habit of overthinking. The question arises, who are overthinkers? Overthinkers overthink everything and spend a lot of time thinking about or exploring matters in a way that is likely to cause problems or to have adverse consequences. Overthinkers are not only extremely conscious of their thoughts, but they also devote a lot of time trying to understand the origins, meaning, and after effects of their thoughts, which keeps flowing round and round inside their mind. Overthinkers often question their own thought process. They tend to struggle or might have a low tolerance for unprompted and uninvited thoughts which they are aware of and even sometimes know that these thoughts will not bring any favorable results. Overthinkers think about the worst things that can happen and they can get stuck in indecision, which means they find it very difficult to make decisions, even the simplest ones. Overthinkers can think about the labor pain and discomfort that pregnancy can bring, leading them to stall and not even plan a baby. The question arises, are overthinkers toxic? Overthinkers can turn out to be toxic in a relationship, as they might think that they are working on an issue, but not only does overthinking not produce solutions, it also worsens the problem. It is a fact that overthinking consumes the time and energy that a particular individual could utilize in solving a problem. Overthinking deeply impairs problem-solving abilities, which makes it difficult to take tangible actions on a possible solution, and these individuals can become more pessimistic about the future. Overthinkers can easily drive their partners away in a relationship. Overthinkers may reach out for help more often, but they tend to share their unhappiness to the point of being infuriating. How do people react to overthinkers? Initially, people around might be sympathetic, but after a while they might get irritated when overthinkers seem never to take visible steps to solve problems. Even if you listen to them attentively and give constructive feedback or advice, people can lead an overthinker to a solution, but it completely depends on them whether they will take steps towards the solution or not. Let's discuss 5 ways to overcome the habit of overthinking. The first way is to look at things from a different point of view. Looking at the world from a different point of view can help overthinkers. They tend to remember that their emotions can interfere with their ability to look at solutions objectively. Taking a step back and looking at the evidence can help them analyze whether that particular thought is true or not. This in turn can make them productive by looking at the bigger picture. The second way to overcome the habit of overthinking is to live in the present. Dwelling on the past doesn't help at all. For people who are overthinkers, for them overthinking can become such a chronic habit that they are not able to even make out when they are doing it. Living in the present without worrying about the past hurts and experiences can prove to be helpful. Turning away from past bad experiences rather than focusing on what could have been done, focusing on what could be done and trying to come to a conclusion to solve the problem by living in the present can help an overthinker. The third way to overcome the habit of overthinking is to focus on being kind to yourself. Self-acceptance and being kind to themselves can be the key for an overthinker. Any thought which is self-demeaning should be avoided, and embracing fear can go a long way toward limiting the habit of overthinking. The fourth way to overcome the habit of overthinking is to keep a journal of your accomplishments. Overthinkers have to consciously adopt new ways to stay away from the habit of overthinking. Keeping a journal, notebook to jot down accomplishments from the past week or month can help them understand and cherish their success. These entries in the journal can help them reflect and learn how to understand themselves, serve and forgive others, move toward their close ones rather than staying away. The fifth way to overcome the habit of overthinking is to seek help. As human beings, we may have thoughts constantly running inside our minds throughout the day, which is absolutely normal. Some thoughts about one situation can overlap with thoughts about another situation or incident, but when people go back over and over again to the ones that stimulate strong emotions, it can turn into overthinking. A very small section of people can successfully classify their thoughts concretely so that they do not turn to overthink, but a majority of people will eventually engage in overthinking in one situation or another. Overthinkers don't have to go alone on their journey towards overcoming this habit. Seeking outside help from a qualified therapist is advisable if this trait is becoming unbearable. That's it for today's episode of Life Talks with Anurag Paul. I hope you find these tips helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me at www.lifetalkswithanuragpaul.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.